This is auctionbikebuild.com.
I'm Vinny from Hempstead Collision, my friend John. We're just getting ready to do the rest of the priming on this bike. We've been in business for 28 years. My father's been running this shop for as long as dirt's been around. So what we're just doing, we're doing the show because we're trying to get a little more exposure, because we do quality work. We're just trying to show everybody how well we can do work on motorcycles also.
This is auctionbikebuild.com, where we continue to build a custom motorcycle on a shoestring budget.
Again, Matt, I'd like to thank you for doing some of the work to these parts, because that helps my end. And anybody who's looking to save a couple of dollars or wants to get a bike done, the more work you can do yourself before I get it, the better, because obviously it's less work that I got to do. Now, what this is a degreaser, a glorified degreaser. It's made by 3M. It's called Prepsol. The product is 3939S in case you want to buy it. What happens is grease, even through your fingers, will stay on the product and will create a reaction to the paint. Like oil and water don't mix, grease and paint don't mix. So what we do now is we apply this, just apply it with the spray bottle, wipe it down, and then it air dries. Gets all the grease off of the car. If you don't do this, there will be an immediate reaction to while you're painting or priming. It does not matter which one. It goes on simple. You want to keep it pretty light. You don't want to wet it up too much, because then you got all kinds of dripping problems, and then you're wiping it all day long. As you're wiping it, you're also spreading it around, so you don't need to actually cover every inch, because you will with the rag while you're drying it off anyway. This is actually the last process after all the sanding and the wet sanding and the finger sanding that everybody loves to do. This is the last process before we just lay on the primer. What the primer does is it fills in the heavier scratches that are left from remolding the parts. There's like you finish off all your polyester with about 320 grit sandpaper. Paint will not cover any of those scratches. So you put on the primer and you check your bodywork with the primer. The primer fills in the 320 scratches, then you go to a finer sandpaper, and you go back to sanding everything, which everybody loves to sand a couple of times. And then, what happens after that? Then it's all ready for primer, and then we go into the next step, which will be later on, but that'll be sealing, base coat, then we got the mid coat and the clear of our pretty color, that candy apple red that we chose.
We took the rear fender, which had some metal custom work done to it, and we molded all that into the fender, and it's pretty much ready for prime now.
Yeah. And everything was in great shape by the time Matt got it to us, because he spent some time on his own in his garage and just do some simple sanding, started applying some body work to us, to the parts, and made everything a lot easier on us. Again, saving him some money also. Alright, we're about ready to put our first couple of coats of primer on. It's a simple 4-to-1 mix, 4 parts primer, 1 part activator. Hardener, reducer, but it's called a couple of different things. What I want to explain to you is why some parts look different from the others. Some of them were powder coated, so it was a little rougher of a finish, so we had to go down to metal. These tanks were in great condition. Basically, all they needed was just to get sanded down. What we used was 180 grit on a DA machine. It's a palm sander. And we just went over them lightly, just to get the top coat off, get the old clear off and stuff like that. But they were in great shape, so we didn't have to do much else. That's why there's still paint left on them. Now, if you look closely, right here in the change of color, that's where there was old Bondo. But because the Bondo work was done so well, there's not a single crack on here. There's no reason to take somebody else's work off and redo it. There's no problem, so I just de-ate it and smoothed it all out. We'll leave it the way it is. It will save you a lot of money, because if the work's already done, why am I going to bother going all the way back down to metal to re-bondo it up? Nothing wrong. No cracks, you leave it alone.
Share your love. Share your love. Share.
Yeah.
up the first coat, what you do is you put the first coat on a little drier than you would put on the second coat. The reason why you do that is, going back to the beginning when you're cleaning the parts, you want to make sure there's no reactions. The heavier the paint, the more chance of a reaction, and then the more work you have to do to get rid of that reaction, no matter what it is. But as you can see, we put on a nice thin coat, covered up a lot of the scratches, and there's no reactions anywhere on all the parts. We already checked them all over, so now our next step is to put another second, more wet coat to cover all the scratches.
You are my only love, sent from God above. You are my hopes and dreams. You're all my fantasies. You are the one that I know I can count on you. This one's for you. You are my loneliness.
Alright, we just finished the second coat. Now it doesn't mean we're done. We look over the things and we'll notice that there's going to be a little small imperfections still. Rather than building this up with a third coat of primer, it's not the way to do it. You're only going to hide your problems. You're not going to fix your problem. I can cover this with primer. I can paint over it. 3 months down the road, you're going to see this come back. Matt, if you want to zoom in and see exactly what I'm talking about. There's going to be spots like that you're going to have to deal with. But the correct way to handle this is you put your 2 coats on, because that's all that's supposed to be on this. And you see if you can sand it out. If it doesn't sand out with 400 to 500 grit sandpaper, you go back to the drawing board and you put a coat of polyester on and you re-prime. Do not hide your problems, they're going to come back. You can't get rid of them. Alright, now what we'll do is we'll let these things sit for another 24 hours, go over everything with a fine-tooth comb, because my name's going to be on the job, and us here at Hempstead Collision, we don't want anything going out where anybody's going to stick it behind our back. So we're going to look at everything with a fine-tooth comb, make sure all these little imperfections are out, and then the next time you see me, they'll all be taken care of, and we'll be starting to paint them. Thank you very much for joining us at auctionbikebuild.com, and next time you'll be seeing us, we'll be painting. Thank you.
Thank you for watching auctionbikebuild.com. Tune in every Monday and Friday for new episodes.
You